I can't see my eyes, but I think my eyes are looking straight ahead, like that way. Now, I can't see my eyes at all. I can't even really see the phone. Not really sure what I'm doing. There's no point to this stream, by the way. We're not going to do this for long. But it's good to get some talking out. How have I got no viewers but one like? Hello, Dead West. I'm very odd. Now it says one. Hey up, Scrabble Bees. How you doing? How you doing? Alright. I'm gonna do a little set sort of thing here. Never believe the numbers. Alright. I'm not really here to do anything in particular. I'm not bored necessarily, but that's quite a cool view actually. Hello there. Right. I'm just kind of I figure this is a way of psyching myself up because I've got the camera. I'll show you. The camera is here at the moment. It's filming something, just basically filming some garbage. Because I'm on holiday at the moment, I figured I bought 3 batteries and I cleared all the SD cards, and I just figure I'm just gonna chuck everything on there and get some like time lapses, stuff like that, or something. I don't know, because I've got this view which I'm not going to show you, right? Because I want to be mysterious, right? Well, no, I just want to save the shot for when it sort of happens. It's been a nice holiday so far. I'm not sure what day I'm on. I think I'm on day 3. Thank you. I've been. This is not what I normally do, but right, I'm turning into a fashionista, right? I'm getting new trousers all over the fucking place, right? Fucking shirts, man. There's a shop here called Hamana, right? So what's that thing that they say, like Hamana, Hamana, Hamana? Ooh, like that, right? So there's a shop called Hamana, right? And yesterday, everything there was €4, right? Now, Lithuania is quite an expensive country. It's a surprisingly expensive country. It's slightly more expensive than England, which I wasn't expecting, right? But I've gone to this shop, right, and I've just been getting stuff that's fantastic, and it's all €4, right? It's amazing. I'm loving it, right? So yeah, I've got a couple shirts. Oh, I've started to figure out what my own style is, basically. It's sort of, I'm liking these sort of deserty sort of shirts. I've got this one, right, which it looks like it's threatening to be a Hawaiian shirt, but it's just about not, right? And there's that shirt that I wear that's kind of like a hippie-ish sort of thing. So I've got another one that's a bit similar, right? So pretend I'm wearing it, right? So you got that. So it's all quite fun actually. I'm enjoying being out here. I'll tell you what, I needed a holiday. Ooh, I just realised I'm on all messages now. There we are. What's the time now? Oh, the thing is, right, because I don't live on English time when I live in England. I live on French time. So the reason I do that is I went to France like 2 years ago, right? And you set your phone to French time when you go there. And then I came back and my phone didn't reset it. It didn't come back to English time. So say it's, I don't know, 1600 hours, right? My phone will say 1700 hours. And it's really useful actually, because since then, I've found myself being much less late to things. I'm still late to stuff, but it just works things out because say you need to be somewhere at 4, right? Now I know to get there before the 4 turns into 5, if that makes sense. It's just working for me because it tricks my own brain into going to bed earlier and waking up earlier, because when you're tired, you don't think straight, right? So I'll get into bed at what I think is midnight, and then I'll look at my phone, and then I'll remember that I'm living in French time. So I'll go, oh right, it's fucking 11 o'clock, right? And then in the morning, I'll see it says 8, right? And I'll panic, and I'll get up, right? And then bam, it's like 10 past 7. And I think, whoa, I've got more time than I thought. So it's worked out. It is really good. I'd recommend it to more people. Yeah. I'm not gonna stay long. I'm basically doing this video because I want to go out and do some Jonny Mozza type videos later. I've not done any for a while. I've kind of been living off the scheduled posts for the last sort of 2-3 weeks while I've been working on a big project. I do the same thing, says Vegan Dolls. My car clock is an hour and ahead, and I get too confused to do the math, so I just pretend it's the real time but less urgent. Yeah, I'm glad other people do it. It is quite satisfying to know that there are others around that do this. There must be. I bet there's some subreddit or some fucking forum, right, that is just dedicated to this, because there's forums for everything. There's forums for like Modern Warfare 2, right? And I mean the original one, not the one that, because there's 4 Modern Warfare 2s or something like that now. Will you design shorts? Oh, that's another point. Oh, I think they're in the wash. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to put a wash on. No, I mean the wash is nearly finished. This washing machine's a pain in the ass because it's all in Lithuanian. Tell you what, I'm gonna do the other shirt. See, if I was a woman, I couldn't do this. Well, I could, but it'd be sort of more like, oh, sort of a slag, isn't it? But I can just change out a shirt and just do it. Male privilege. But I like this one. This one has a very sort of 70s kind of feel. I think this one would be good for playing live shows. Like, I mean, I want to get into live shows once like some albums are done, got a proper discography. The silk one is good. The silk one's not a new one though. I've worn the silk one in a few videos. I've done the buttons up fucking wrong. I always mean to start from the bottom, but I never do. Hang on. I know, right? Like, I did a video, for instance, on what Vegan Dolls are saying. I did a video about how different clothes can give you confidence, and the idea of it was I was going to start out in really like crap clothes, so I put on like, you know, sweatpants and fucking like the shittest shirt that I owned, right? That's really baggy and not, it's like pajama shirt sort of things, right? And the point of the video was I changed out of those clothes in real time and then changed into like nicer stuff, and it's about how that gives you confidence. And that simple idea kind of involved me having to basically not get naked, but, you know, take my trousers off in the middle of the video, right? And I remember I finished the video and I was editing it, and I thought, God, if, like, you know, if you're a woman doing that, there'd be comments about it going like, oh, you're just looking for an excuse to show off your body or whatever. And it's like, I was doing it just for a reason to, you know, because there's a little bit of action in the video, there's a bit of a gimmick, you know. But I wasn't doing it to show off my body, right? Because I'm not that bothered about it. Right? I see it all the fucking time, right? To someone who said, have you played with a live band before? No, but I want to. I'm really looking forward to... No, this time the buttons are correct. The buttons are right this time. Maybe it's because it's got 2 up here. Oh, right. Dull. Fuck's sake. It's because I'm doing it whilst trying to do a live. Yeah, and I just don't think that's fair, right? I did that whole video, right? My feet are out in it, my shirt's off, like you see all my legs and everything, right? There's one point where I'm basically just in my fucking underwear, right? But I'm not like a slag, right? And I don't think even if I was a woman and I was doing that same video, I would be a slag either. But I would get called one. I just don't. I don't know. That seems like a bit of institutional sexism that we could sort out. I don't know why I'm doing a little circle with my finger over here. You can't even see it. The only solution is to harass men. Uh, anyway, yeah, someone said something about, do you play live? No, but I'm working on this album called Get It Out the Way, right? If you go on SoundCloud for West B's Motherhood, right? Google West B's Motherhood, and then it should come up. And then there's 3 tracks on there, I think. There's one called They Seem So Content, which is, at the moment, it's still a bit, I don't know, they're a little bit fucky with the timings because I think it's because I'm playing to these MIDI drums that sound a little bit wank. I want to get a real drummer in, and because I particularly like that 70s very flattened drum sound. You know, like something out of Pink Floyd, for instance, where that kind of sound. Whereas these drums sort of sound, I don't know, just a bit sterile. And obviously they are because they're MIDI, right? Slag is basically a British way of saying whore, right? Someone who's like, think of like Essex slag, right? Is a sort of is an insult, right? It's basically someone who sleeps around, that kind of thing. You can chuck in whore. I don't mean to always use Britishisms, right? See, I've not done a video for, I think you can tell, for like 2 weeks. Did you know that there was a period in Victorian times where women in aristocratic circles intentionally made outfits to highlight their bare breasts, like they wore corsets and had their tits out? Well, apparently the bosom isn't an evolutionarily sexual thing, and that there's many cultures out there that don't see the breast as a sexual thing. In fact, there's some cultures that don't even see kissing as a sexual thing. I don't know the ins and outs of this, so I'm just going to sort of say it. But apparently, there's like places in Africa, right, where they like really, really fat women, right? Because in their mind, it sort of shows that they're good for like child rearing or whatever. But then, you would show that same woman to someone over here, right, or wherever it is you live that's not there, and they would go, right, hit the gym, And then what else was there? There's some cultures that don't see kissing as a sexual thing, because there's a lot of these sort of things where, because realistically, the only thing that's important in terms of the sex, because a lot of sex is purposely designed for child rearing, and that's the point of it, right? In a basic sense, in an evolutionarily sense, right? When we were cavemen, right, or whatever, that was not necessarily the whole point of it. We probably did it for fun as well, but we also did it, for that specific purpose. Anyway, that's the point of it. Like, you don't see bees having strip clubs, is the sort of point that I'm getting at. But I'm not saying any of this is like, to what's the word, regressivize, sexuality or anything like that. If anything, I think we should go the other way and just like let people get on with it, and not necessarily have to even separate the physical body from sex, but just sort of have, I don't know, an attitude where a woman could have made that video that I made, right? Where I can't remember what it's called. It's something like wear nice clothes to feel good about yourself or some shit like that. I think it came out in like early April. I'm not sure. Something like that. It's filmed in the woods. Bees do have strip clubs. We're just not invited. Oh yeah, baby. Take off that pollen. Right. Anyway, I want to talk about the album thing. So I've done a couple demos, right? I'm working on a few short songs and a few long songs. I realized that my track list was going to end up making a sort of a 60-minute long album, which is a little bit awkward. And part of me's thinking, because one of the songs is a 22-minute sort of thing, right? Why not have like the album, right, and then release the 22-minute song as like an EP alongside it? Or I'm the kind of person that I would rather just make another 22-minute song and just make that another album, right? Because personally, I don't really understand the point of an EP. I get from a promotional point of view, but from a creative point of view, I don't tend to sit down and listen to an EP, right? There might be a song on an EP that's really good, right? But I don't know. When I look at someone's discography, I just sort of write the EPs off. I just don't even worry about them. But then that said, there's probably really good songs on them. So yeah, what are the songs about? There's They Seem So Content, which is on there now. There's lyrics to that one. That's all about an old man dying in a home, and he's he's wondering why like the kids that are playing outside the window in the field, they seem so content, since hence the name, right? And he's thinking, God, if I was in their position, I'd be fucking miserable because you know, real. And then it kind of it's like the circle of life sort of thing, because realistically his granddad, who would have been born in like the late 1800s or whatever, would have seen the society of the 50s and 60s and gone, fucking hell, this is all too modern, everything's going to shit. I mean, do you mean chop up the 22-minute song? Because honestly, I feel like there must be a big market for these long songs, right? And to be honest, if someone doesn't have the attention span for it, I'm not that bothered about them listening to my album or my song. Not in like I'm not gonna change things for their sake. Because all my favorite songs are like 17, 18, 19, 20 minutes long. Echoes by Pink Floyd, Anesthetized by Porcupine Tree, Change by King Gizzard, Octavarium by Dream Theater, Long Season by Fishman's, that kind of thing. I mean, if your fans complain, what was their specific complaint about the song Scrabble Bees? Were they just annoyed that it was long? Because like just a long song on its own, you can still complain about a song being too long. Like for instance, I have a complaint about 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence by Dream Theater, in that I don't really see it as a 42-minute song. It's like a load of 6, 7 minute songs. It's basically just an album, right? And it's an interesting album because it's all about various mental illnesses. Like there's a section on autism, there's a section on schizophrenia, and that kind of thing. And it bleeds into one another quite well, but it doesn't feel cohesive in the way that, say, Octavarium feels like one continual piece, right? And I want these songs to feel like they are one experience. The same way, right? I can't bother to go get it. Apparently, the Stand by Stephen King, right? Apparently, that is 1,400 pages long, right? And I'm not saying I'm going to be the Stephen King of fucking writing. I don't even take cocaine. So, but at the same time, I don't think length is necessarily an issue. When you say maybe, because some long songs can be annoying, because some of them do feel like it's just one idea kind of stretched out with nothing like really going on, or like it's not going anywhere. Even if it's one song, True for 24 Hours, do you think avant-garde songs tend to be like that? Like even if it's one song, technically it's more like several less than a minute mini songs bundled together. Um, in a way, I would say so. When you say avant-garde, I don't listen to particularly much avant-garde music. I mean, I'm not entirely sure what that really. I mean, Does Octavarium count as avant-garde? No, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. But what I'd say is that you can criticize a long song for being too long, but I think to dismiss long songs because they are long is kind of pointless. And, you know, I mean, if Pink Floyd had done that and they turned Echoes into like, I don't know, 1 5-minute song, and then that jam section was another 5-minute song, it wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be good, you know? I mean, I'm sure it'd be all right because Echoes is a good song. And I'm sure you could make a single version of Echoes, which just took like that first 6 minutes, condense that down to 3 minutes, and that would be a fantastic song. You know, it's all the same. But the way it is just absolutely amazing. I'll tell you what, if you go on there, if you go onto the SoundCloud, Westby's Motherhood, look up Big Word. It's called Big Word. At the moment, it's 12 minutes. Well, realistically, it's 9 minutes because the last 3 minutes aren't like finished yet. It sort of, I'm trying to follow the Octavarium-ish structure / echo structure where there's a bit of a slow ambient, more Shiny Crazy Diamond actually than Echoes, where it starts off quite airy and instrumental and almost ambient, right? But it sets up motifs and melodies that will come back in different contexts across the rest of the song. And then it's going to have its first verse slow section. It's going to slowly crescendo over the first 10 minutes or so. And then, you know, bam, mad fucking, you know, section with, I want to go as crazy as possible. I don't know if it's going to be like prog metal or something. I'm fucking with a couple time signatures. I'm fucking with this concept where it's modulating technically, but not really. So the way so D major, right? Say the song's in D major, right? D major, if you go up a half step and treat the new half step as the new root note for the new section, all the notes are the same. Every single note is the same. It's just now you're playing in the key of E Dorian rather than D major, right? And you don't necessarily have to do it in seconds like that. You can, I think in the song, what do? It goes from G Lydian, then there's an F sharp Phrygian kind of metal section. Then that goes down to a B minor section. And then it goes into, there's a very brief C sharp Locrian bit, right? And then I think it goes up into E Dorian. No, sorry, it goes into D major then for like a bit. Yeah, Mixolydian is one I haven't touched yet. I want to touch on all of them, but I just need to get to all of them. I suppose, is this chromatic? Because the root note is moving across from section to section, but not necessarily from bar to bar. Although that being said, there are bits like in the F sharp Phrygian bit. At the moment, it's all F sharp Phrygian, but I'm thinking it would be more fun if it sort of did the same kind of riff, but treated it in G Lydian. So you have all the same riffs and all the same, you know, dun 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 dun. Let's take that as an example, right? And then you go up to G Lydian. So you wouldn't be able to do that flattened second. So you would have a wider, brighter sound. So you'd dun 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 dun. If that makes sense. I'm not explaining it vastly well because I'm not a fucking music theory teacher. Truther24 says, like that Tame Impala song Let It Happen, which is like 7 minutes, but it builds up to such a satisfying conclusion that everyone loves it, even if the current generation hates songs more than 4 minutes. Maybe just because, like, when I presume I'm part of this current generation, I think I'm leaving this current generation. But, I don't know, they all like fucking garage and DMB and shit, and all these songs are like 7, 8, 9 minutes. And a lot of like my friends all like, you know, quite long songs as well. A lot of Radiohead fans. I know Radiohead tend to steer on the shorter end, but they've got, you know, the odd sort of 5-6 minute. There's a lot of classic rock fans as well. Like I notice a lot of nerdy. You know that nerdy black kid stereotype who listens who really likes Dragon Ball Z, right? And they usually wear glasses, right? I noticed that a lot of people that fit that mold also really love Dark Side of the Moon. I don't know why. I don't know what this pattern is. Maybe it's just in my head, right? And it's just a stereotype. But I notice I've got like 3 people that I could describe exactly like that, who black nerdy young lad who loves Dragon Ball Z and loves listening to Dark Side of the Moon, right? And I don't even think they smoke, or at least don't smoke much. Mountains Away says, I feel like it's hard to complain about a song being chopped up because you can just listen to it in sequences. Yeah. I mean, for instance, in that 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence by Dream Theater, I feel like that one should have been cut up. I'm glad that it was cut up because personally, I only really like the Test That Stumped Them All, which I can't remember. I think it's the Schizophrenia one. I think that's a Schizophrenia one. Hello, how you doing? I'm not going to stay vastly long. I'm kind of just doing this stream just to like psych myself up to go do some like talking videos. Because I want to find some. There's a river down there that's quite nice. The thing is, right, I've come to a foreign country, right? But the thing is, it looks the same as London. And I quite like the familiarity to it. I'm not really someone who wants to like go neck deep into the middle of fucking China and have like, you know, boiled fucking manta shrimp or whatever they have. I don't know. That sounded wrong. But I'm not someone who goes straight for that. I like to veer myself in, right? So what did I have? There were these. There's a shop called Maxima, right? And they had some fun like pastries and stuff. So I got some of these sort of like classic. I presume they're like Lithuanian pastries. And then there was this one that was sort of it's like a very thick raisin oat biscuit kind of thing, almost like I'm not like a sweet. You know, like stuffing that you get in a Sunday dinner, right? In a Sunday roast. It was kind of like that, but with raisins in it and like some seeds and pumpkin seeds and stuff. Really nice. Yeah, that was good. And then I got what else did I get? I got this big sack of meat, right? It was something like beef. I'm not sure if it's scraps. I got it from Lithuanian Lidl, right? It was reduced down to €5.99, and it had all this like seasoning on it. It was fucking fantastic. I really enjoyed that. I'm in Lithuania at the moment. It's a lovely place. I think it's my favorite country that I've been to so far, or at least I'm having the best time of any foreign country that I've been to. I went to Bulgaria. Bulgaria was nice, although it did just kind of look like a big shepherd's bush. It was sort of that's not going to mean anything to you because none of you know what shepherd's bush is. Basically, it didn't look all that. There weren't like mad tourist attractions or anything. I'm not like a touristy person. I'm not like someone who loves to go to museums or anything like that. I like going and seeing the Lidl or whatever and just seeing what they have and you know checking out the supermarkets or wandering down the streets, going in a cafe or whatever, that kind of thing. That's where I feel more at home. I like wandering around rather than going into things. I like seeing big statues in the middle of like these huge public squares. That's where I feel at best. What else? Where else have I been? Went to Milan. Milan is all right. Italian food's not that good. Like they go on about it, but I think because they go on so much about it, that makes it sort of worse when you get there because you're expecting it to be really good. And then I got there and it was just fine. It was about on par with Lithuanian food, really, realistically. But I mean, essentially, most Italian food is just like stoner food. So I feel like it's sort of gone global, right? In the way that that meat thing that I had yesterday probably wouldn't be able to go global. I'm not slagging the place off, by the way. It was really nice, and the architecture in Italy is fucking fantastic. Central Station in Milan is possibly the most gorgeous building I've ever seen. Right, look it up. It's genuinely like or jaw dropping. Right, I looked at it. I was like, fucking hell! I just came out of that. Where else have I been? Been to France. I think there's two videos that shot. No, there's three videos that are shot in France on this Jonny Mozza channel. But I don't think in any of them you can really tell that I'm in France. And I know I've been to one other country. And I can't fucking remember what it was. Turkey. I went to Turkey. So Turkey was really nice. Probably the most sort of weird country of the ones that I went to. Probably because it's the furthest away from where I live, which is in England. That said, it was really nice. I think the problem is that the fags are so cheap that like I just ended up smoking my lungs out. I came back and I was basically just like a steam iron, like that. It's ridiculous. And also when you go to the bars there, this is when I used to drink, is that they offer you more drink. So say I've got this, right? Say I've got this one actually. This one has a bit in it, right? You see how much is in there, right? The bartender will come and say, "Do you want another one?" And I'll go, "Yeah, all right." I was trying to act drunk, but it was hard. So you end up just drinking, and because the pints there are all like fucking 60, 70 pence, it's fantastic. But it means you end up overindulging. So that was one irritating thing about the place. But I really, really liked Turkey. Turkey was fantastic. I went to the Museum of Innocence, which when I got into the Museum of Innocence, actually, I looked over to the right and there was this big wall. And I was like, oh, okay, that looks like bullet casings. And I was thinking, that's going to be from some war that happened, right? And I thought that would be quite interesting. So I went over to the counter and I paid my 300 lira or whatever it was. And then I went up to the wall, right, thinking, oh, this is going to be, there's going to be bullet casings or something from some war. It was 4,700 fag butts that have been smoked by this bloke between 1977 and 1983. And I'll tell you what, it was actually quite interesting because you see ones that are like, there's ones with lipstick on them and it's like, oh, who's he been kissing? And there's ones that are like smoked right to the end and you see the little timestamp and it's like one after the other, and you're like, wonder what's stressing him out that day. There's some that are like only, how would I describe it? I've only smoked to like here, right? It's fantastic, that place. It was really interesting because it wasn't a museum about society. It was a museum about just one bloke. I really like that. I bought the book, but I never bothered reading it fully. He's pining over a woman, right? Anyway, Truther24 asks, how long did it take you to grow your hair? I shaved my head early June 2023, right? And I haven't cut it or anything since. I think moustache, I genuinely don't remember when I started growing the moustache. I think it's just sort of stayed there because I had about a year and a half phase of beard, right? If you go back to the first like 5-10 videos on this channel, I've got beard in it, right? And originally for the Jonny Mozza character in this series, he was going to have a handlebar moustache, but when I was shaving for that, I forgot, and I went like that, and I was like, oh, damn it. Yeah, this is about about 2 years growth, this, right? And it's getting to the point now where it's about to go around the back, right? Because at the moment, in a lot of videos, it kind of sort of sits on the front like that. it's gonna eventually sort of do more of that kind of thing. So that's gonna be quite fun. There we are. Why do I have to do so many things to report someone? There we are. Fuck off. Anyway, what was I doing? What was I talking about originally? We've gone through a lot of things here. Oh, long songs. That was it. The Who. Well, the Who do a lot of long songs. I think my issue with the Who is just drum solos. I'm just not a big drum solo guy, right? Drum solos aren't really my favorite. They're not fantastic. Yeah, finally. Fucking hell. Took ages to do that. Yeah, not a big fan of drum solos, but I do quite enjoy sort of the showmanship behind it. I like structured songs rather than like long jams. Like once something gets too long in terms of like repeating itself, I feel like it needs to develop into something. Because we were talking earlier about how the newer generation doesn't like long songs. And I find that a bit, I don't know if I fully believe that, because do they? There's loads of people out there that like long songs. Maybe not like to this point. The thing is with setting up moderators is then, I don't know. I don't know how it all works. I mean, you just get the odd random knobhead that comes in, and that's fine. I mean, he could have done a much better job of trolling. Let's be real. It wasn't that good. But yeah, if I set up moderators, then first I've got to screen them. Because what if I gave a moderatorship to someone like John, right, who's sitting there, like, and he starts off all sort of playing nice, and I give him the moderatorship, and he turns into a cunt. That's gonna be worse. Is my worry. And also, I don't set up these lives. I don't like sit there and think, well, I'm gonna go live at like 2:00, and then I'm gonna have to talk to the moderators, you know, and go be like, oh, mods, I'm gonna go live at this time. I literally decided to go live, and I just went live, and and at some point I'm gonna turn it off. I'm probably gonna turn it off in the next few minutes, actually, just because I'm a bit bored of it. Oh, any updated thoughts on the evolving AI scene? Right. On my IMDb, it says that I worked on a film called Connie Lynn, and part of the marketing around Connie Lynn involves all this shit about fucking Elon Musk, right? And there's a couple like bits on there. I think it says in the tagline, "This movie could not have been possible without Elon Musk," right? So I just want to go on the record to say, I fucking hate Elon Musk. Don't like anything about him. He's a twat. He's a knobhead. He's a cunt. Right? Get rid of him. Right? And I don't like AI. Not a fan of all this visual. One thing I don't maybe it's bad that I do it, but for instance, when I'm thinking of ideas for album covers, right, I do like to put them into an image generator to give myself an idea of what it is that I want. And then I find one that kind of goes, you know, that's kind of along the lines of what I wanted. And obviously I'm not going to use the AI one, but I'm going to sort of sit there and go, right, then I'm going to yeah. I think someone should make a really good song about how AI sucks, but have it entirely written and performed by AI. I mean, I don't know. I feel like AI doesn't inherently have to be evil and terrible for artists and for the world at large, really, because, you know, it's taken away so many people's jobs. It doesn't need to be like that. The same way that, you know, I think it's more of an issue of capitalism at the end of the day, because it's a system that, you know, unbridled free market ideals, right? In a world where the government can't keep up its legislature to, you know, understand what these new technologies are, right, is a problem. Because think about it. all this AI stuff, the people that sort out everything in Parliament or the Senate in America, right? They're all fucking so old. They don't know what, all this shit now is, right? I'm 25 and I don't know what gooning is, right? So bollocks to if they know what fucking ChatGPT does or what SEO is, right? They're not going to have a fucking clue, right? So we need some way, and I think that really we should just not have AI. Realistically, I'd rather we didn't have the internet, right? And I say that as someone who makes their fucking living off the internet. I don't think we need it, right? Because it just causes so many problems, right? Okay, maybe not the internet at large, but social media. I don't know, I just worry about AI because I feel like we don't look, into the future enough as a collective species. I mean, we talk about AI at the moment, like, and the current way that the algorithms work, but where they pull, say they pull from some database that involves a load of copyrighted material, right? And then they use that copyright material to project some new thing. Like, for instance, there's some old AI pictures that literally had the Stutterstock logo on it, right? So I do think that's a problem. However, I feel like the current discourse around AI treats that like that's the significant part, when that isn't. That's just a byproduct in the current state. This is the starting point, right? Look at Siri, for instance, compared to ChatGPT, right? The level of difference there is just absolutely immense, right? I mean, ChatGPT now, you can read it and it does feel like a human sometimes, right? It might not give you the same emotion because it isn't a human, right? But I bet you could be tricked, right? If someone worded the prompt right, you could, and sent it off to someone, you could trick someone, right? And I bet people have. I mean, hang on. I was talking to an old friend about something, about wanting to get into music, and he said, "Isn't that kind of pointless? Because now you have to compete with AI." Well, in a way, I don't entirely disagree with your friend. Not in the short term, but in the long term, right? Because say in 50 years, right? Because people now talk about AI music as being this soulless garbage, right? And it is soulless garbage at the moment. But what are we going to do? At some point, all of us are going to listen to a piece of music that fills us with some emotional resonance, right? The same way that all your favorite songs do, right? And we're going to listen to it, love it, and then later find out that it was made by an AI. And once that happens, how are we going to cope with that? How are we going to deal with the fact that now we can get emotional resonance from something that has no soul, right? How are we going to grapple with that? I don't have the answers to that. And Jonny Mozza says, you just got to become so unique with your writing that people would want to use AI to try and replicate your sound. I mean, that's the thing though. I don't know, like with my art, or whatever the fuck it is I do, I don't go out seeking to be a unique voice. I don't want to be a unique voice. I just want to make shit. Like my goal is to make a sitcom. And as far as my sitcoms go, I want to make something in the vein of like an Alan Partridge-y sort of, dry, sardonic, mockumentary type thing. They've been done 1,000 fucking times before, right? I just want to make another one, right? I don't want to have to reinvent the nature of comedy just so that I can make my thing, just so that I can compete with an AI that can spit out 1,000,000 I'm Alan Partridges at once, right? But at a certain point, it's not going to be good enough. What all people do is not going to be good enough because a fucking computer is going to be able to do it instead. And at a certain point, it becomes, do you make art for yourself or for other people? And obviously I make it for myself, right? But since I started this YouTube channel, I started to get an audience. I started making more stuff than I used to make because now that I have people to engage with it, it motivates me to make more stuff because I have people that actually give a shit about it. Whereas before, when I was just plopping stuff out into the void, I would just do it on my time when I felt like it. But now I have a reason to do it, So if AI is going to take that away from us, it's going to take away the even the possibility of a human artist, coming out on top. That's going to be a massive problem because there'll be people that will sort of say, oh, we can't, we will never listen to AI art or whatever. The same way that I don't know, maybe let's compare it to vegans, for instance, right? Vegans will never eat meat because of ethical reasons. We'll have essentially artistic vegans, right, who will not engage with AI art for moral reasons, okay? But not everyone's going to be like that. Look at the attitude towards veganism now. They see it as a load of fucking posh knobheads, right, who just get up on their high horse and want to grandstand and moralize and tell you what you can and can't do. Those people that I'm talking about, these artistic vegan sort of ideas that only engage with human-made art, the argument against them will come straight away, right, from Facebook comments going, oh, well, I enjoyed this thing made from AI. Who are you to say that I can't enjoy what I enjoy? There's going to be all that, isn't it? So what are we going to do? And at the end of the day, I'm sure there will be, something that makes all my favorite music look like shit by comparison will eventually come out. That is almost, because you can program and prompt the AI to make exactly what you want, and it can put it out in a second, right? So why should I sit there and struggle financially and emotionally and physically to create a work of art, a film or an album or a novel or whatever, right? Why should I fucking do that when I could get on with my life and live a simpler, happier life and just make a fucking prompt for it as I want, right? And I'm not saying that as if I want to do that. I don't want that to be the world, but that is the world that we are going towards. I'm not entirely optimistic about it, and I feel like to be optimistic about it is naive. I mean, I feel like this might be one of the last generations of true art people. I mean, right now we have the perfect state because I can use ChatGPT to, for instance, plug my latest draft of whatever script it is I'm working on and go, can you give me a bit of a critique here? Can you tell me what's working, what isn't? Can you point out any inaccuracies or plot holes or whatever, or basic typos? I can get it to do that, right? And it will spit it out for me. So I'm using the AI as a tool, right? But at a certain point, it's like going from, I don't know, using a screwdriver, right, to just getting a fucking robot in to build your IKEA furniture, right? That's what it's going to be. Some people love making IKEA furniture, right? And at a certain point, they won't even need to do it anymore, right? Because it will be done so much faster. And at a certain point, art will only become a process of just personal venting, essentially. It will be like the equivalent of writing in a journal, or a diary, something like that. Cargo Cultish says, what do you guys think you'll do in a world where AI can do everything in industry can be done to a higher quality than what workers can do in every field? That will happen in our lifetime. There's multifaceted argument, right? Because some would argue, and I have seen this argument portrayed quite convincingly, that AI is a democratizational tool to allow the poor to make art that generations prior would not be able to. The same way that digital cameras coming out meant that what's the guy who did Who Killed Captain Alex, right, in Uganda, right? He wouldn't have been able to make that film in the 70s, but he was able to make it in 2010 or whenever he made it, right? And some would argue that this is just another step in that process. And I think there is a convincing argument for that from a semi-anti-capitalistic, anti-corporate viewpoint. But at the same time, it also is fucky because, for instance, visual effects are now being done with AI. Even if it's not like the whole industry is using AI, there are most certainly individual, I don't know, modelers or whatever that will be using AI as part of their workflow, right? AI tools are now in fucking Photoshop. They're in like Maya 4D or whatever. They're in everything, right? They're in Premiere Pro. Everything has these little like, and they always have AI, and they always have like a little flashy thing like, "Ooh, look at our new tool. Can you use our new tool, please?" Right? And I think as time goes on, a lot of people are going to, like in say the creative sector, are going to lose their jobs because the work that can be done by 100 underpaid, exploited computer graphics, fucking motion graphics things for movies and stuff, that could suddenly be done by 2-3 people using prompts, right? And that's, I suppose, efficient in the sense for small scale independent artists. Like when I started my film a few years ago, DALL-E and stuff was just starting out, right? And the attitude towards AI as an anti-artist sort of sentiment wasn't there yet. So I was genuinely considering using, and this is when I made that film, which was scripted using a proto version of ChatGPT. So at this point, it wasn't like an immoral thing or seen as an immoral thing to use AI as part of the workflow in that regard. So I was considering using AI for some, CGI kind of scenes, and I thought it could be quite fun for that. However, now I would absolutely not consider that in 1,000 years, right? Never. Hang on. Jumbo Meza says photography killed painting, films are next with AI. And do you know what really annoys me about some arguments that go against that is that they will act like, well, painting is still around, or like the horse and car sort of thing, where there's still horses, but it went from being that to down like here, right? It collapsed the thing, right? Just because people still do painting, and sure, it changed the nature of painting. For instance, you got a lot more interpretive kind of stuff, like Picasso and shit probably wouldn't have been as big during a time when you used paintings as a tool to essentially like a photograph. There wouldn't have been as much of that kind of thing. So maybe in a world with AI, we will see new cinema that is more, I guess, abstract or interpretive, right? But I'm gonna be honest, I don't fucking enjoy abstract interpretive fucking art, like all that shit that Andy Warhol did. It's just not as good. So I don't know. There's a lot of issues with AI that I don't have the answers to any of it, but it's worth talking about it, and it's worth, I think, seeing that there is a nuance to it. There is a lot going on. Hi, Mal. Because it's not all good or all bad, right? It's not that it's, I don't know. It's not that it's the absolute death of everything, right? But the slow decline is coming, right? It's already happening. I mean, look at the state of Hollywood in the last 5 years with the amount of strikes and things that have been going on. And this is just the very, very beginning of AI. Can you imagine what the Hollywood, film industry is going to be like in, say, the year 2040? It's going to be unrecognizable, right? I really didn't mean for the stream to go on so long. I'm kind of bored of this. I'm going to answer a couple more questions and then I'm going to go. I'm not going to be here by the hour mark. Matt Brown says, AI can only use what has gone before as a resource. We artists have the potential to break from the form and create something new. Well, I know it's a bit of a glib argument that is made by a lot of people that have ulterior motives about AI. Usually it's kind of like, crypto bro, fucking NFT type people that make this argument, right? But you know how the human mind does inspiration? It will take inspiration from seeing external things and apply it in new ways, right? Like, for instance, my story that I'm working on, I know exactly what my inspirations are, and there's probably some subconscious inspirations as well that I'm not actively thinking about. And AI does do the same thing, right? It's just that it's being programmed to do so by a corporation. I'm sending a text. Can the keyboard come up, please? Where? Fuck's sake. Thank you. There we are. I'm not talking to the stream at the moment, I'm talking to the text thing. I'm trying to send a text. There we are. Oh, sorry, I was trying to send a text. I can't stick around either, Big Popper Rasta. Hope you have a good day as well, aye? But I'm going to do this final point on cargo cultish, what cargo cultish is saying. Recent AI is able to create its own stuff. I am of the opinion that nothing is utterly original. Like, even say you had a bloke who grew up like Tarzan, right? He grew up in the jungle, right? And then you had him make art, right? Give him a camera and make him make a 5-minute short, right? It would probably be really strange and it wouldn't be very recognizable. However, it would take from his surroundings, which would be woods, the nature of everything. Just because he hadn't seen, I don't know, whatever film it was that was kind of like what he did, I think all inspiration flows back into nature, right? And then flows out of nature in a way that is a point that I need to expand upon. I think I need to mull it over so I can figure it out a bit more, because I'm not going to be able to, get the point across completely coherently off the cuff. Or is it off the cusp? I think it's off the cuff. But art is about communication with fellow beings. Work created by AI is gibberish with no underlying meaning. Well, not necessarily true, because if you get it to, say, I don't know, make a picture of, I don't know, Obama sat there with a cigar, right? It would show a picture of Obama holding a cigar, right? And we would all know that that is Obama holding a cigar. Just because the AI itself might not have the emotional understanding of what all these things do and the cultural, significance or whatever of that, right? Just because it doesn't understand that doesn't mean that it doesn't actually mean something. For instance, you see loads of people, like, it's very easy to make something and then look back at it and go, oh fuck, it's actually sort of making a point about this other thing that I hadn't even realized. That's something that can happen quite often. You can see intent where no intent was, and it's up to the viewer rather than the creator to discern that intent. That's essentially the death of the artist, and maybe AI is the ultimate form of that. Because think about this, Matt Brown, right? At some point, you are going to see something that will create a strong emotional resonance within you that you will later find out was created by an AI, right? And you might be able to still, what's the word? Recognize the fact that it didn't do that with any intention to cause that emotional resonance, and that the communication was accidental or incidental, but at the same time, it did create that feeling. It did convey that meaning, even if it didn't understand what it was doing. And, oh, fuck's sake, that terrified me. But when I look at art, I connect with the artist. I mean, yeah, but when you say that, do you connect with the story? Like, say you saw a really nice picture, but you didn't know who painted it. What would you feel? Say you saw a lovely painting, but you didn't know who made it. Say we couldn't find out who made it. What would that feel like to you? And also, what about, say, like collaborative mediums like film, where you've got, say, 300, 400 people all working together on a singular project? Say, let's not even take, like something like Kubrick or whatever. Let's take something that's just like a bit more corporate, like Friends, for instance, right? Everyone likes Friends, right? It's a good show, right? But at the same time, it's kind of a corporate conglomeration like thing, it's designed by committee. It's designed by boardroom meetings going, what could we make Phoebe do this time? Or, oh, we could make a toy out of this. That kind of. I'm just getting sick of that. What? Okay. The only intent comes from words directly said in the human prompt, and anything the AI generate around it is fluff or meandering around the subject. I hope this doesn't all sound like I'm trying to defend AI. I'm not. I don't think AI is good for humanity. I think it's an incredibly fucking destructive thing, and I wish that it was never being developed on. And I hate the fact that the twats like Sam Altman, right, who run OpenAI, sit there and go on about AI is causing so many problems or whatever, whilst they are developing that same AI. I hate that, and I think that we shouldn't be developing it. However, that's not. I do think that AI can create art. That's my viewpoint, anyway. Because I don't believe that the original creator's intent is what matters. I believe what matters is the audience's interpretation of that intent. Even if there was no intent at all, what matters is that someone felt something. Like, I don't know, with what Jumbo Mazer is saying, like question its history, etc., etc. I I don't really care about it. I find a lot of I find a lot of music, right? And I like the mystery of not knowing what it is, right? And I make up my own idea of the people and the story behind it, right? And as time goes on, I listen to it more and more. I might find a live version. I start to see what the band members look like. I look the band up. I see that the main guy is called Janet, right? And as I find out more and more and more, it demystifies the song for me. And that reduces my emotional resonance usually, rather than increases it. Maybe that's unique to me. Maybe other people see it the other way around, but that's my viewpoint anyway. And it's not necessarily for all things, but sometimes, like with music, for instance, I get the emotional resonance from the music itself rather than the lyrics. Like I never listen to lyrics. Most of the time. Big Train's really good. Big Train is fantastic. But listen, I need to go because it's now 1 o'clock. I've got things to do. I'm on holiday, and I didn't mean for this to go on so long. Anyway, take care, guys. I'll tell you what. I'm just gonna piss around because you seem to be having a nice chat, so I'm just gonna get on with stuff. I'm gonna roll a fag, and then I'm gonna get my stuff ready for my videos. I'm gonna film 3 videos. Oh, where are my things? There they are. Take that. Take care, everybody. There we are. Yeah, that's just a lot of tissues in it from the cafe. Put those in there. Okay, that's nearly finished, so I'm going to switch that out to this. Great. Why don't I just turn the vibrate off? That'd be smart, wouldn't it? Where do I call? Oh, not really. Yeah, I think we had a interesting conversation there. There was a lot of stuff going. And yeah, I'm glad that we can have this sort of discussion where we go into things in depth. It's really fun. Yeah, we'll talk more about this. We'll do. I might do a video on AI now, actually, because it's on my mind. So, anyway, take care, everybody. Bye bye.